Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 14, the forest of enjoyment, text 38. The path of this material world is full of material miseries, and various troubles disturb the conditioned souls. Sometimes he loses and sometimes he gains. In either case, the path is full of danger. Sometimes the conditioned soul is separated from his father by death or other circumstances, leaving him aside. He gradually becomes attached to others, such as his children. In this way, the conditioned soul is sometimes illusioned and afraid. Sometimes he cries loudly out of fear. Sometimes he is happy maintaining his family. And sometimes he is overjoyed and sings melodiously. In this way, he becomes entangled and forgets his separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead since time immemorial. Thus, he traverses the dangerous path of material existence, and on this path, he is not at all happy. Those who are self realized simply take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to get out of this dangerous material existence. Without accepting the devotional path, one cannot get out of the clutches of material existence. The conclusion is that no one can be happy in material life. One must take to Krishna consciousness. So, Shukadeva Goswami, the young brahmachari, the pure brahmachari, is warning us about this, that those who are optimistic, they look for the happiness in between episodes of unhappiness of material life. Those who are pessimistic, they will look at the unhappy parts of their lives. So, of course, if you're pessimistic, you'll go into depression. So, most people are positive. But being a brahmachari, he is warning us strictly that remember, this is illusory. For example, someone is very attached to their father, and then the father dies or some other circumstance separate from the father. Quickly, the son or the daughter starts getting attached to others, such as his children. So this keeps happening. Sometimes he's happy, sometimes overjoyed, sings melodiously. And in this joy, he becomes entangled and forgets his separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yesterday's class, I forgot to mention something, but that is fitting in nicely here. How should family life be? So here I want to give a message to the parents of the youth, that I find that even among devotees, there are many parents who, instead of looking for a devotee, they say that I want someone of my caste because my family will be against it. Now, generally, this would not happen to those who've grown up in cities, maybe those who've grown up in small towns or villages. They are afraid of their extended family, or they themselves feel comfortable only with their own little subculture and say, my caste, my caste. So my message is, please do not do that. You are a devotee, and if you're a devotee, then you know that life is not based on some habits of caste. In the past, when someone is not a devotee, then every caste has its own habits. So they want their children to marry someone else of the same caste so that their habits will be the same. But once our children have been brought up in a Krishna conscious house, then the habits no longer differ. It doesn't matter which caste you belong to, it doesn't matter where. But as long as all are following the same culture, our habits have all become uniform. We eat the same kind of food, we enjoy the same kind of programs, and our family life is centered around devotees. Therefore, the children are quite used to living with others of different castes. So why do we want to narrow them down and saying that I must have someone from my caste, my father will get angry, my cousins will get angry? And then say that, oh, it is very difficult to find a vegetarian from my caste, and so on. Because what will happen is, if you find such a person, and that person is not a devotee, then they will be exactly like these people mentioned over here. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes happy, sometimes sad. So why do that? Instead, say that it doesn't matter what caste, just a nice devotee, and get approval from me and Mataji, and go and get married, and everything will be wonderful, because the life will not be centered around these temporary happiness and distress. Their life will be centered around permanent happiness. This is what we are enjoying as a nice community of devotees. Whoever is following Bhakti Vriksha nicely in our pattern, everything we are doing together. Very nicely, when you go for a picnic, go out with other devotees. When you have festivals with other devotees. When babies are born, along with other devotees. And in our community, what happens is, when the baby is very small, if he or she is brought to the program, immediately someone or the other takes away the baby, and the baby becomes so joyful and completely free and able to interact with others. We have seen babies who are not brought in this way and they are morose and they are always afraid of being away from their parents. But babies who are brought up in our Krishna conscious community, they have no fear, they are completely bold, they go with everyone. So they are very, very self confident. Therefore, we have this wonderful community life in which we brought up our children, and let them continue to have this community life by marrying a devotee. So it is by taking shelter of Krishna in this kind of community life that we will overcome all our fears, because this is unalloyed joy. It is permanent joy. Serving Krishna along with other devotees is a permanent joy. It is not going to flicker. And in this joy, we will not only be happy in this lifetime, but we will definitely go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.